Yeah, the National Strategy for Development of Statistics is a framework for none other than strengthening the statistical capacity within the national statistics system. It's a framework that is applied to all data producers who are producing data for national consumption. Of course, it's very important because it addresses our statistical challenges as a country. And then it also helps us to mobilize and prioritize the use of resources that are geared towards statistical production, but mainly and very importantly, framework for mainstreaming statistics in the national policy and planning, really aimed at bringing statistics to the core of the national development initiatives and to inform policy, as well as bringing statistics to the whole, public discourse.
And how will this strategy improve the quality and accessibility of data in Namibia?
Yeah, first and foremost, as we said, the strategy is to enhance statistical production and to bring statistics to the development sphere. We have in the development of this framework, we have done an assessment that indicated that yes, 80 to 85% of our statistics are not produced through primary data collection, but rather they are statistics that are sitting somewhere there in our offices in the form of administrative data. And therefore, the framework really seeks to, make those statistics available to the public, and in so doing, enhances the quality, the timeliness, as well as the availability of those statistics for planning.
Can you tell us why are reliable statistics so crucial for national development and decision making?
Yeah, they are very important because without reliable statistics, we will not be able to effectively plan. Interventions that are geared toward reducing issues of poverty, for instance, and access to services must be done within the confinement of good and statistics that are timely. And therefore, the framework really is centered toward initiatives that are of nature to make more practically data available to those that are, tasked with planning, and to make sure that services reach the desired, populations. Really, it's crucial that data is made available and not be stored in safe places where they are not being accessed by those that are tasked with our national planning.
And in what ways will this strategy support government planning and policy formulation? It supports government planning. Like we said, the aim is really to mainstream statistics into national policy planning. We seek to make statistics available to those that are supposed to make planning and development initiative, and therefore, by having statistics available, government will then be in a position to intervene and make sure that the data that are supposed to be produced by producers are in the public domain. It also helps in the planning in the form of if you have investors that want to come and invest in particular areas, what they normally do first is to access information about that particular area or that particular country. As a result, if statistics is not available, then planning, including investment that we so much desired, will not be able to take place. But in the face of ample information from all sectors of the economy and social sectors, if those information are available, it makes planning a bit more easier and a bit more targeted. Do you think improved statistics can contribute to economic growth and social development?
Absolutely. In the statistical arena, we have a say that goes, you cannot manage what you can measure. And as a result, if we have statistics that are available to manage is how do we fare in terms of our development trajectory. It makes things a bit more easier to be able to assess and to intervene in areas where we are lacking. Therefore, having statistics, and it's not just, we are not just talking about statistics these days. We are talking about quality statistics, and we are also saying it's not just about having data to measure the trajectory, but we also need to know the spatial component, the location where these things are happening. If you are talking about poverty, we need to know in which area the poverty is. So that targeted intervention can be done. So really it's a broader space where the framework is then trying to, get a foothold to ensure that producers of data and producers of spatial information, are taken to task to make sure that the information that they are producing are of good quality and very, very important, are available for planning purposes.
Let's talk more on the implementation of this new statistical development strategy. What are some of the key priorities identified in this new development strategy?
Yeah, the framework identify 4 key priorities. Number one, we would just want to make greater use of statistics for policy planning and decision making. Of course, we are seeking to increase the uptake of statistics because we have seen that in so many cases, interventions are made without statistics. People go to plan for strategic interventions in their ministries and sectors without having, quality statistics available. The second one, and which is a core of this framework, is really the efficient, effective data production processes. We have seen that we don't have requisite infrastructure, we don't have requisite systems, we don't have skills, capacity to really produce statistics that are fit for purpose. So the framework is also, targeting those processes. Number 3 is about funding. We know that our funding has never been the same. It keeps on fluctuating. In fact, for the past 5 years or so, funding for statistical production has been going down. The assessment that we did has also indicated that yes, there is a greater uptake for statistics, but the funding to carry out statistical activities have not been forthcoming. So we are seeking to see how we can enhance and streamline statistics funding, as well as maybe just look around the globe and look around, the continent and other avenues where we can probably tap into resources to increase our statistical capacity. And then the last one, it's really about improving the statistical integration with spatial data. Like we said, we are no longer interested in just numbers. We want to see the location, so that if we are to intervene socially or economically, then we don't go do it in a vacuum, but we go straight to areas where issues that require attention are happening. So already integration of statistics with spatial information is one of the key components of this framework. So those are the key areas that the framework is targeting in this particular edition.
In terms of collaboration, how will different government ministries and institutions work together under this strategy?
Yeah, I think I must point out that the strategy is for the producers of statistics, and producers of statistics in the national statistics system, including government departments and agencies, are highly encouraged to work together. Cooperation through memorandums of understandings are highly encouraged, but we first and foremost, as NSA, who are the custodian of the management of the national statistical system, we are rolling out
data sharing agreement. We are rolling out memorandum of understanding between institutions, and we do also carry out an annual survey calendar that we publish so that producers can see who is doing what, when, and how, for how long, and for what areas, so that they are able to join forces to, first and foremost, just to ease the burden that we place on the data providers, especially our respondents, and secondly, just to ensure that the resources, we can share resources without necessarily spending too much on individual, going into collecting data on their own. So we have found that sharing resources and coming together for statistical undertakings, is a bit less costly than an individual organization going to spend so much money that is coming from the same pot. So we really just encourage cooperation between those producers of statistics.
Talk to us on the role that the private sector and civil society will play in strengthening the national statistical system.
Yeah, the private sector is a big component of the national statistics system. If you go to the Statistics Act, it talks about producers of statistics can be anybody from government to private sectors. So we highly appreciate the private sectors coming on board. Remember, most economic initiatives and drivers of economic emancipation are none other than private sector. Of course, government is a key player, but private sector plays an important role. So we are also encouraging private sectors and non-governmental organizations to come on board. We work together with them so many times. And they are also key producers in their own right. So they are also targeted as part of this framework to ensure that whatever that they are doing and whatever data that they are collecting in our societies, especially non-government organizations that are playing a role in social upliftment, playing a role in health, in education, and other areas, really do use those opportunities to collect data as much as possible. Remember, at the beginning, we said that we have done an assessment and we have identified that 80 to 85% of the data that we need, you don't need to run a survey to collect those information. Those information are already available by those that are operating in those areas. So we just need to tap into their resources. Sometimes the question is that this information is collected not necessarily for statistical purposes, but for other issues. We can enhance those data. We can enhance the tools that they are using to make sure that when they are finally collecting those information, they can serve multiple purposes, of which one is statistical purposes. So it's very important that private sectors come on board. And we do acknowledge that many of them do come on board, as well as the non-governmental organization, because this animal called data landscape is not only for government.
Yeah. And just finally, what are the expected outcomes of this workshop, and when can we expect to see the full implementation of this national strategy?
Yeah, the workshop in Nerongo is really just part of a whole broader regional stakeholder consultation. This is now the 12 regions that we are consulting. We are left with 2 regions, namely Ochebenjupa and Commerce. But the expectation of the workshop in Nerongo is the same like any other region that we have gone before. First and foremost, we want to sensitize our regional leadership, our principals in the region about this framework and the strategy and what the NSA intends to do when it comes to data landscape. We're also informing them of where the data is and how do they go about initiating planning for development in terms of accessing and having access to data. And we just want them to support the initiative, especially when it comes to the region itself. Secondly, we are going to have a workshop which is today, the day 2 of the workshop. Is targeting the technocrats, people that are working with data. So we want also to take them through the framework, and then also just capacitating them on what is expected of them from the framework perspective. The aim is really to, enhance their capability to understand where Namibia statistical landscape is going and how they can intervene and how can they play a role. And then for the next 3 days, starting on Wednesday to Friday, we will be visiting data producers' institution. The aim is to assess their statistical environment. We want to see where do they store the data. We want to see how do they collect the data. We want to see who handles the data.
Yeah.
We also want to see what type of ICT infrastructure do they have. Do they have servers? Do they have enough space? Because this framework is going to bring a lot of administrative data in the public domain. Now, if you are an organization that doesn't have the required space, we may then have to make intervention as the NSA when we are going to roll out the framework. So we are going to assess the statistical landscape in this data production organization that are situated in the Rongo region.
Yeah.
We are going to see the framework, I think, in the next financial year, starting in April. We are going then to seek as the NSA to assess all these assessments and draft an implementation plan. So you might expect that from the next financial year, April onwards, we are going now to roll out activities that are geared towards statistical capacity.
Yeah.
Of those institutions that are producing the statistics.
Thank you very much, Dr. Neema.